afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the second latest features in Microsoft Teams webinar here done by iCoTech. So my name is Matthew Richards, and I'm the lead BI developer here at iCoTech services based in South Wales. Who are iCoTech and what do we do? We are a Microsoft implementation partner and a key support partner for information and collaboration with Microsoft SharePoint. We do portfolio management with Microsoft Project, and we do data visualization and analytics using Microsoft Power BI. Now, we also have expertise in deploying OneDrive, Teams, Exchange Online, Dynamics CRM, Power Automate, and Power Apps. Now, because of our experience and skills that we have in-house and the way that we continually develop this, we have been awarded a Microsoft Gold partner status, which further solidifies our commitment to the Microsoft service. So what do we actually do in the ways of working here at iCoTech? Well, we typically revolve around four key areas within different organizations. That would be the solutions, consulting, products, and service. So from a top-down view, what we tend to do is to talk to organizations, whether that's the public sector or the private sector, large or small organizations, about particular pain points or particular issues that they may be having with certain elements. Now, predominantly in the past, that has been centered around portfolio management, project management. But as the Power Platform grows and as we grow as an organization, we are taking on more around the more around the realms of business operations and project operations as well. So we are starting to expand, and over the years, and that iCoTech have been as well as a trading entity, we have grown from 2 employees now to, I think we are about to touch maybe 14 or 15 employees in that short space of time. Again, the areas of work that we cover are centered around the Office 365 environment. And because of this, again, we are in-house a Microsoft branded partner. So today's session, we're going to be talking about the latest features within Microsoft Teams. Now, Microsoft Teams is part of, obviously, the Microsoft 365 offering. So things like Outlook and Word and Excel, all of that, kind of comes hand in hand with those tools. So if you are, or if your organization are using Office 365, then no doubt you will be aware of Microsoft Teams. So what we aim to do in this session is to kind of highlight some of the latest features that have been released since we last had a webinar. Now, Microsoft Teams is constantly evolving, and since our last webinar, which we had, since our last Microsoft Teams webinar in February, there's been 122 new features actually rolled out to the product. Now that's across web, PC, Android, and iOS as well. So not just a Windows machine. So this is something that you can utilize, whatever device that you're using. So currently now, as I said, there are 121 features released since February. I'm not going to go through all 121 features. I've picked out a few that will, or that I find anyway, help the kind of key ones for myself, but also ones that will help you be more productive in how you conduct meetings, how you follow up from those meetings as well, and how you communicate with your colleagues, whether that's around the office or around the world. Now, one note I saw pop up, are you going to get a copy of these slides? These slides will be available after. I think we can get them sent out to everyone who's attended, but also all of this information will be, everything that's covered today will be on our YouTube channel as well. So don't worry about that. So if you do miss something or you have to jump off and come back on, you will be able to capture all this via the iCoTech YouTube channel, where we put all of our webinars up, and we tend to do at least one webinar a week. normally on a Thursday, but I think as of next week they changed to a Wednesday, just so we keep content flowing and keep the ideas and the innovation going with regards to 365. Currently with Microsoft Teams, there are 79 features currently rolling out. Again, I picked about 6 or 7 of them to go through today, just to show you what they are, how they work, and how hopefully these features I've picked out will be something that you will find beneficial in your day-to-day working. So one of the first ones that is currently rolling out, partly out there in the wider space, but not quite, is a new presenter mode. So at the moment, you can most probably see my PowerPoint slides. Sorry, most probably you can see my PowerPoint slides up on your screen. Now, this would allow a presenter to stand out as such in front of your in front of the PowerPoint slide as such. Now, this is something that we have the button for. It's enabled within our tenant at the moment, but at the moment it is still being rolled out by the looks of it to parts of the UK. So this will allow presenters to create more engaging presentations and be more aligned and kind of keep people more focused on what they're presenting. It gives attendees a better experience, especially when they see the presenter along with the presentation. Now, a more interactive presenter helps guide their audience along with visual cues while reducing information overload. Now, we've all seen those PowerPoint decks that have been literally full of text, full of writing, and just loads of information to disseminate, and then the presenter skips on ahead and you kind of, hang on a minute, I didn't quite get everything. Doing it this way allows for more kind of standouts and more kind of interactivity. So the image I've got on there at the moment, we've got you can see the woman at the bottom right. Now, she is the presenter. Now, when this is fully rolled out in Microsoft Teams, and it should be within the next week, you will have the option to put yourself in front of your presentation. So in addition to sharing your content only through a screen or a window, which is like I'm doing today, you'll also become part of the presentation by using these interactive presenter modes. So you can stream your video along with your actual presentation. So you can directly engage with your audience. So whether it's the side-by-side presenter mode like this, or the reporter presenter mode. This is something that you would see generally kind of like a newsreel as such. You have a background, you have your presentation, and then you're there in the forefront giving your colleagues the latest update on sales or your marketing. Now, to use this presenter mode when it becomes available, when you're sharing your after your meeting starts and when you want to share your presentation, if you go to the top right and you just select the share content area, let me just up here, so it'll be the share content button. When you click that, this pane will open. Now, here is your presenter mode. You'll be presented with content only or the standout presenter button. Now, what you need to do next is to choose your standout, which would be the icon to the right. And what this will do then, this will allow you or show your video in front of your presentation. So when your presentation begins, the presenter toolbar will briefly appear at the top of your screen. And in the toolbar, you can change presenter modes on the fly. So you can give control to another presenter, or you can include your computer sound. Now, to make that toolbar appear again, you place your pointer at the top edge of the screen where it first appeared, and then that toolbar will appear again. But if you want to keep that toolbar at the top of your screen, you can actually hover over it, and then you select Pin Toolbar, which is on the upper right corner. To unpin, you just hit that button again. If you want to stop sharing a screen or window, now we've all, most of us have shared content before, you just click the Stop Presenting button in the presenter toolbar, or you can select the Stop Sharing in the meeting controls at the top right of your screen. The next one, which I just kind of alluded to just now, is the laser pointer. So this will allow you to focus attention on a particular area of your presentation, and also highlight and also connect ideas with other drawing tools. So last month, Microsoft announced that a new virtual laser pointer tool was coming, and it's now currently being rolled out. So the app will now enable presenters to use a virtual laser pointer to highlight or annotate specific parts of a slide during a PowerPoint presentation. Now, these tools help presenters to emphasize important points or engage with their audience by drawing their attention to specific sections within the PowerPoint slides. So the new annotation toolbar currently comes with 4 important tools. So that's the laser pointer, as we're discussing, the pen, the highlighter, and also the eraser. It's important to note that the annotation toolbar is only available for the active presenter in a Teams meeting. So this can help avoid potential disruptions. Moreover, participants need to join the meeting with the Microsoft Teams desktop clients to see the annotations made with the presenter. These changes that you make with the laser pointer or the pen, they won't actually be saved to your PowerPoint file that you're using. So overall, this new PowerPoint live annotation experience has been designed to make virtual presentations much more interactive and engaging for participants. So as of today, the feature is only supported on Microsoft Windows, Microsoft Teams for Windows and Microsoft Teams for Mac OS, both of those desktop apps. But it's not yet available for the mobile devices. So how do you use it? So what we need to do in order to get this. So once you've started sharing your PowerPoint presentation, you will see, and if this was my presentation, like I can see these at the bottom of my screen. So you'll see that those tools beneath your presentation. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to select the laser pointer, and I'm just a left click on there. And now to create a short line, you simply move the mouse around. So all I'm doing is just move my mouse around. You should be able to see the laser pointer there. To create a longer line, I can hold my mouse down and just move the mouse as I draw. Now, what will happen with that, it will fade after time. And it allows me then to highlight and connect ideas with those drawing tools. So the laser pointer fades away. The pen, which I'll show you now, draws an opaque line. It allows for you to, again, draw something on there and it will stay there. But what this will do, it will stay for the entirety of the presentation. The highlighter that draws translucent lines. So if I just highlight that, so I've got the pen here, and I can just draw on my presentation as in, where I want to. I'm not very good at drawing with these mouse pads. But you also have that 4th option of erasing. So there's a couple of ways you can do this. You can erase a single mark by selecting the eraser and then clicking on the mark I've made. So in this instance, if I have, let's just say, multiple marks on my presentation, I can go in with my eraser and go, right, I'm going to erase this one here. Got to be able to click it. There. Or I can just go and select erase all ink on the slide. And with the 3 dots, I can select erase all ink and it will get rid of everything there. Now, to stop drawing, because at the moment I've still got my eraser selected, to the left, as you'll see on here, let me highlight it with my laser pointer. To the left, you have the cursor icon. Now, to stop any of these actions, the laser pointer, the pen, the highlighter, or the eraser, you just left click on the cursor and then that will stop and take that option away from you, or you, sorry. Now, being a global company, for more often than not, you will find that you are communicating or working on or collaborating with a user or someone or an office that's in a different country that speak a different language. Now, Microsoft have announced that there's new slide translation capabilities for PowerPoint Live presentations. Now, what we're doing here is a PowerPoint Live. So as the name suggests, the slide translate feature allows attendees to convert the slideshow content to their own language while in private view. So this will this will not have an effect on my view, but it will for yourselves. So underneath the slides, or in the more options button, or even with the three dots at the top of your bar, you can actually select translate slides. Now what this will do, this will take the slide, live slides that are on the screen, and it will translate them into the language of your choice. Now the feature is currently only supported, the feature is currently supported in 19 languages, including Arabic, Chinese, English, French, German, and Hindi. There's not a Welsh one there yet, but I'm informed that that is coming as well. Obviously, iCoTech based in South Wales, so that will come in handy for us as well. So the slide translation option is only available for participants if the presenter is using PowerPoint Live option in Microsoft Teams. So if your presenter is sharing a slide deck using PowerPoint as the desktop app rather than sharing it through Microsoft Teams, then you won't have this feature available to you. So in this instance, when you've selected, selected French in here, then the slide automatically changed to French. So it's something that you can try yourselves, and you should be able to see that have an effect. Now, we, as I mentioned at the top of the call, we run a lot of webinars here at iCoTech, and we also have a lot of discovery sessions and meetings which we have with a number of clients. Now, one of the key things that or takeaways that we have from I suppose like COVID is there's a lot of people who are working at home now. So there's lots of distractions at home. There's lots of reasons why people may not make it into a meeting, or might cause disruption as such. Now when we were all in the office, we all would be going into large meeting rooms and maybe having discovery sessions and workshops to discuss different programs or different pieces of software. And if that meeting started at 2 o'clock, yeah, everyone would be there at 2 o'clock. But then those latecomers would inevitably come in late and maybe show up and maybe disrupt a little bit. Ideally, if you could lock the door, then but still allow them to have access to the meeting, that would be ideal. And that's what Microsoft are trying to do with this. If you have a large meeting, or if you have a meeting that's set at a certain time and you're in your flow. So for instance, if I'm already kind of part way through this session, as a presenter, I can go up to as an organizer, I can go up to the participants menu, and I can choose to lock the meeting. Now, what this will do, this will actually stop any attendees from joining your meeting, but they were, as I was saying about disruption straight away, I don't know. So just right on cue, as I say, working from home, this is how it goes from day to day. But anyway, if you have the ability to lock the meeting room, you have the ability to lock the meeting room to stop other people coming in. What this does, in effect, it stops them from joining and you see a notification, but they still have access to the chat windows and any documents or presentations that are discussed in there. So as a presenter, you would go up to the participants menu, and then you'll have the option there to lock the meeting. Now, what you will see next is this window. It will say no one else will be able to join, but invitees can still access the meeting chat, the recording, and other meeting info. So they will be able to join the chat, and they could say, hey, I'm outside, I'm ready to join. So then when you're ready to let people in, for instance, if it's maybe a confidential part of the meeting where you've got people who are joining later to discuss something else, then you can unlock the doors and let them in. The attendees will see this. So even though they might be blocked from joining, the people invited can still access the meeting chat and the meeting progress. So they will see this meeting is locked, no one else can join. So in a perfect example, let's say, for instance, the organizer could say that they have locked the meeting, perhaps because a participant wishes to share something very confidential. And then when they're finished, they can let people know in the chat, let's say, when they're going to be reopening the meeting for more people to join. So this is something that we're trying out today. You will notice that when you joined, your video and your mic were hard muted. This obviously allows for less disruption, unless, hey, Bob, you've got your mic still on while he's making a coffee, or other instances like that. It cannot, and I will stress this, it cannot stop your youngest from walking in to your makeshift office and asking you about the cats. But it does stop for other interruptions as well. So we can now prevent attendees from speaking during Teams meetings. Now, this isn't something that we really want to do, because we're all about collaborative working environments. But for presentations and webinars, it's always great to be able to go through. If there are any questions or anything that needs to be discussed, then that can be done via the chat or via the raising hand, and we can come to those people as well. Now, if you are using Microsoft Teams to host webinars and virtual classrooms for employee training as such, you can use this option to allow those presenters to prevent attendees from unmuting their mics during a meeting. Now, the feature is available for all organizations who have Microsoft Teams, whether that's the paid version or not. And it's been designed to minimize background noises and other distractions that can break the flow of a presentation when hosting large meetings. When using hard mute, you can block all attendees' microphone privileges during or before the meeting begins, but you can also disable or allow the unmute option for everyone while in call. And you can also enable individual participants to unmute their mics as they raise their hands first. So one of the nice features that I like about Microsoft Teams, and especially iCoTech will be using this more often in the future, is the way to create a webinar within Teams. So now at the top right of your Teams window, you have not just new meeting or meet now or new calendar option, you have a new webinar or webinar event. So when you click that, so when you're choosing to create a new meeting in Teams, you can choose the webinar. And instead of scheduling a meeting or a live event, what you're doing is putting on something like this. Now, the first thing you would need to do is to scope out your webinar, whether you want people to require to register for it, and if those people are going to be people in your organization or for everyone. Once you've decided this, you can define a picture for your webinar, add event details and speakers, and customize the registration for your event. So you can also add multiple new fields to the form, marking them required or not. It's a good thing to think ahead as well of what fields you'll be adding, since you can't change the order afterwards. For the header image, I would go with choose something that's, I think it's 192 pixels by 72. That seems to be a nice roundabout size to use. But once you go back to the main meeting view and you send it and you open up the registration page, you will be able to invite webinars to that webinar directly using the normal Teams setup. So once you've set up your webinar in this way and you've given it a picture and it's been aligned, you then have to go on to create that form and customize that form for your registrations. So if you need to make those changes to that form later, you just open up the meeting and look for customized registration form. This is also a difference to a Teams meeting where you don't have to invite others to the meeting to make it a Teams meeting. That's one thing that you will notice. If you try and create a meeting in Teams without inviting anyone, it just won't work. So when presenters join this webinar, they can set everything up and ready while letting attendees wait in the lobby. So when you joined today, you would have been waiting in the lobby, and you would have got a message to say, we know you're here as such, or the organizer knows you're here and they'll let you in due course. So once the presenters are ready, they can let people in, and the meeting organizer can turn off the lobby if they choose. So then that will allow people just to come straight in, even those with whom the link was shared to. The actual webinar is just like running a normal scheduled meeting. But I recommend, to be honest, I recommend adding some polls to keep the audience more active and engaged, and the use of spotlights as well, especially if you have multiple presenters who are speaking at that moment, because just like a panel discussion, which is one of the other types of webinar that we do here at iCoTech, you can have up to 7 presenters or attendees spotlighted in that way, just to show where the conversation is going. So in terms of the latest features, I think those are my kind of key points or key things that I can take away in terms of latest things. But my favorite features that I use within Teams, or the reasons I use Teams personally, are kind of key elements for me, and it helps me work and be more efficient in what I do. So Microsoft Teams, as I said at the start, is fully integrated with Office 365. And it integrates beautifully with everything that Office does. So things like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, SharePoint, and Outlook, they are fully integrated into Teams. Now, there have been a number of improvements to Office 365 Groups admin experience that you can easily and swiftly create teams within a group and bring deleted groups back, edit your groups and emails and aliases. But for users who still prefer to use Windows Explorer, Teams is optimized for this browser too. So you're provided with Explorer view access to OneDrive and SharePoint locations directly from the Office Suite applications or Explorer itself. This in itself is a major kind of tipping point for me, because it's that kind of extra kind of add-in that makes it much better than, let's say, Zoom or any of those other tools that you wouldn't have access to. Teams helps me reduce email. So I've got less clutter in my inbox because prompt, quick questions get resolved over Teams and chat. Hello. And also, it's a nice feature of Microsoft Teams that you're able to send an email to a Teams channel. So with that contents of the email appearing in the threaded conversation for all members to view. Collaborative working in real time. As I mentioned again at the top, iCoTech work together, not just as iCoTech and the iCoTech team in iCoTech head office in Cardiff, but we work with our clients hand in hand to make sure that what we're delivering is fit for purpose, and it's also, what they want. So that enables us to be able to be, one of the best in what we do with regards to delivering this out. So a real-time presence as such comes as a pleasant surprise to those who haven't been or have been exasperated with the slowness of some of the updates recently. Teams is especially brilliant at how it gets people working together. So you can complete work in real time with your colleagues as you chat together, and you can work on files through Teams rather than taking turns emailing updates. So I'd say goodbye to having multiple versions of everything because you're all working on that same tool. Teams is accessible across all of my devices. I have Teams available on my iPad. I have it on my phone. I have it, on my laptop. I have it also on my work, my machine at home. Now, it's not only the comprehensive web interface that allows you to do this, but you can. There are bespoke interfaces and bespoke applications for Android, Windows, and iOS as well. So Teams provides a simple and easy to use app that allows you to chat with your team via text, have a voice conversation, or a video meeting. And the mobile versions are getting increasingly popular today with regards to the way that people have access to their mobiles almost instantaneously. So for users in 2021, it's a great addition. not just collaborating with our team, but as I mentioned before, collaborating with our vendors, suppliers, and clients. So we can chat to people outside of our organization using direct email, and they will be tagged then as a guest in our chats. So that's a great functionality for communicating with those vendors or third parties. So this guest access allows users or allows people in our organization to speak to those clients or contractors or other stakeholders by giving them access to our team's existing channels and I suppose message forums. Now, your organizational admin can control which features guests have access to, so you can be confident that business information won't be put at risk. So anyone with a business or consumer email account, such as Outlook or Gmail, can participate as a guest in Teams. So right at the top of the call, I mentioned about the evolution of Teams and how there are more and more features and areas of it being rolled out. So at the moment, there are 71 features, I think it was, that are currently in the rollout phase. Now I've picked out just a handful of these just to things that have kind of piqued my interest, what will come along. So Android. So yes, I have an iPad, but my mobile phone is Android. At the top, I spoke about the translation tool for PowerPoint slides, PowerPoint Live. There's actually going to be an inline message translation, so it will ensure that every worker in your team has a voice and can facilitate. And this will also facilitate global collaboration. So with a simple click, people who speak different languages can fluidly communicate with one another by translating posts in channels and chat. Now, this feature is actually going to be rolled out to Android pretty shortly, in the next 2 weeks, I believe. Updating an updated add-in for Teams to site web to a site. So you're within Teams, if you have channels within Teams, you can actually add different tabs to your Teams channel within that. So Microsoft now wants to make it easier to do that. So Microsoft is aware of the value of connecting SharePoint and Teams together. So people use SharePoint Teams site homepages with dynamic web parts as almost like mini dashboards for group content. They use pages, news, links, documents, and there's also an area on there for group activity. And it's also configurable that it's used in multiple businesses around the world in order to get that news across. So you will now be able to choose the SharePoint content that you want to add as tabs in your teams when you first connect them via the Add a Team flow in your site. This makes it so much easier that that everyone who's part of that channel will be able to. That's exactly what I thought. Thank you, Judy. Everyone in your site will be able, or your team will be able to see the information. Everyone will be working off the same information as well, and it's up to date as well. Comment there from Judy about Gene Roddenberry. One of the things on the translation, Captain Kirk used to have a universal translator, and basically that is what Microsoft are trying to create within Microsoft Teams. We'll see how advanced it gets, but it would be great if at some point I could be talking to you now and what you could hear could be Italian. I've heard that my Italian accent is fantastic. Next one, so the multi-window chat. Users will be able to pop out individual team chat conversations into separate windows. Now, it's all what you will see or what you'll know from using chat in Teams is that you will have the indicators on the left-hand side, chat, and it will go bold and there'll be a little red icon to give you the number of chat notifications that you have, which is all very well and good. But if you're talking to, say, a vendor who's not part of one of your chats and you're relaying information back and forth, having multiple chat windows open will enable you to be able to quickly scan across and see, right, what information is this guy giving me? Right, I need to relay that across. So it allows you to streamline your workflow, and you can more easily go between ongoing conversations. Now, the dynamic view, this is something that will come in handy for those of you who attend a lot of Teams meetings. So Dynamic View will automatically optimize your shared content and video for participants in your Teams meetings. So you'll have new controls that will let you personalize the view to suit your preferences, such as the ability to show the shared content and specific participants side by side. So you're not just viewing the screen. So, James in accounts or finance is showing you the finance projections for the next quarter. You can also pull up extra content. So whether that's a different user who's presenting or the chat window, everything will be dynamic for how you like to work. Now, the bottom one, which is something that's kind of come about, more into the public domain over the past 2 years. Really, it's almost been 2 years now with majority of us working at home because of the pandemic, is the personal well-being. So Microsoft are trying to put a step in the right direction in this. So they're going to introduce new personal insights to help you kind of reimagine your workday and embrace well-being. So what they're trying to do is to be able to give users the ability to create a mental bookend to productively start your day and then mindfully end your workday with almost like a virtual commute. So you can tap into dedicated moments of mindfulness with apps like Headspace and those areas to give you almost like emotional check-ins to pause and reflect. So one of the things I've noticed from being at home personally is that when I'm working, and I've noticed it today, you would have obviously seen if you've been looking at the video as well, you're going to see that now I'm working at home more. My children and my family life kind of come into that kind of almost like hand in hand. So because you're there, you still get asked the questions, you still need to get thrown away. And for me, being kind of taken out of that kind of work-centric bubble can be great sometimes, because sometimes you will get bogged down. But being able to kind of take a couple of minutes out or half hour out just to reflect, anything like that is a big plus for me. So in terms of new features, my favorite features, that will kind of bring us to a natural end. But what I would like to tell you about as well is what we do here at iCoTech with regards to teaching you what we know about Microsoft Teams. Now, it's not just Microsoft Teams that we have training courses for. It's Teams, it's Power BI as well. So next Wednesday, I'll be running a webinar on Power BI. It'll be the third one that will take you through how to create a dashboard for a fictitious company, show you how to go from just having the data to getting some great insights out of it and actually utilizing that information as well. But in terms of Teams and what we do, we actually run a Microsoft Teams in a day course. So you would have heard of the Power BI Teams in a day. We do a Microsoft Teams one as well. So this kind of teaches you everything you need to know about Teams and how to get set up, how to get started properly, and how to get that configured, but then also how to use Teams effectively to make sure that your day's working is efficient. So we cover off how to get started with the Teams application, the differences between channels, groups, and chats, but also then the differences between presenting or PowerPoint Live and sharing your screen and those elements, but then also how to work collaboratively effectively. All of those kind of elements, everything like that kind of comes together to make sure you have a lot of content, but also allows you to make sure that you are effective in your day-to-day workings, because that's what 365 is all about. It's all about coming together and working effectively and collaboratively in everything that you do. So I've spoken enough now. If you do want to find out some more information about our team's courses, then please do drop us a call. We have, I'll pop up the details of our contact details at the end of this. But if anyone's got any questions at all or anything, then please feel free to either pop them in the chat or raise your hand, and I will come straight to you. This is always like the calm before the storm, hoping that all your questions either go in the chat, or if you want, you can, as I say, you can put them in the raise your hand and I'll come to you. Hi Ray, the Teams courses, the one-day course, this is I think it's organized. So what happens is we generally tend to do it on a company by company basis. So if you have a number of different attendees from your organization, then it can be done that way. But I do believe that we are thinking of doing an individual courses as well. So I see someone's mentioned Eventbrite. We will be having registration for certain courses available on our website. So this will allow you to, any courses that we're running that aren't company specific, to be able to join that way as well. All right, okay. How would you utilize the integration of Teams with OneNote? So OneNote works with Teams because you can actually add OneNote pages or OneNote pages or Teams to your channels within the area. I'm just seeing if I have a training channel available to me that I can show you on screen. If I just go into my Teams, you won't be able to see this at the moment. You should still be seeing my presentation. You just close all these ones down and open up this one here. Brilliant. Right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to stop sharing, but I'm going to share my screen instead. So you will see a jump. Right, here we go. So I have a training channel open here. Now, to integrate OneNote into Teams, what you can do, if you go, once you have your channel set up, at the top, you will see these tabs here, and I've just made it smaller, which won't help anyone. There you go. So here you have the plus tab, or the add a tab. So you left click on that, and here's all the apps and everything you can actually add as extras to your Teams environment. As you can see, there's a lot. And if you have set programs that you have, so for instance, Jira, there's a lot of people who do things with document management, or also fault management. They use Jira a lot. That can be added in as a tab. But what you're talking about there was OneNote. So what you can see at the top, these are the recent ones. I have recently added a OneNote. You can see Power BI is there as well. But if it wasn't there as a recent, you just type in OneNote, and I can left click that. And now it will go off and find your OneNote books. So let's just say I want to add in this OneNote book to my training. I click save on that, and then what happens is my OneNote book appears up here. Now this notebook is empty, thankfully. Don't want you seeing all my notes for how I'm going to plot to take over the world. But that's how you would integrate Teams into it. Now you can also, everyone in this chat now, everyone in this training area will be able to see this tab. And that gives you a way to actually, monitor or show the content that's coming from your channel. Let me stop sharing on there. That's okay. So have we got any other questions? I'm looking to see if we got any hands up at the moment. I can't see any. Doesn't look like it. I did say I would put the contact details up as well for the operation. Resume. So that should take me there. Right, so that, as I say, that brings us to the end of our session today. Hopefully it was helpful. Yes, the PowerPoint presentation, what I will do, I'll ask the guys to send out this PowerPoint presentation out to you guys, just so you've got it there. It will, as I say, be published up onto the iCoTech YouTube channel. All you have to do, if you can't find that, if not registered, go to YouTube and search for iCoTech, and you'll be able to find our channel there where you can subscribe and view all of our webinars that we've done previously, and then get notifications for the future webinars that we will be producing. As I mentioned, if any of you are looking to get into Power BI, then next week's Power BI webinar, 4 o'clock on Wednesday, is currently live for registration. So please do get yourself signed up for that, and maybe I will see you there. But if there are no other questions, then thank you very much, and I will let you all get back to your day, and whatever you've got left for the remainder of your working day. Thank you, guys. Cheers.